Previously, we talked about how prevalent road rage is, what it really is behaviorally and legally, and how personality traits and mental disorders can amplify it. Today, we're digging deeper into its psychology and viewing it through a Buddhist lens. In psychology, the concept of displacement is an unconscious defense mechanism. It's when a person redirects intense emotions like anger, fear, or frustration away from the actual source and onto a less threatening, safer target. This allows the mind to discharge tension without facing the severe consequences of confronting the original recipient. Road rage is very often not about what just happened on the road. It's about what happened at work, what happened at home, what happened in the relationship where you couldn't respond, what happened in the system that diminished you and offered zero recourse. Displacement theory suggests that the anger generated by non-driving stressors such as workplace toxicity or financial strain is frequently redirected onto the driving environment. Why? Because the vehicle offers a relatively anonymous, insulated space for emotional release. Traffic psychologist Arnold Nirenberg explained that the human psyche actively seeks to release its aggression on anonymous people whom it feels have purposefully interfered with it. The keyword here is anonymous, because anonymity changes everything. Psychologists call this de-individuation. It's the psychological state where individuals lose their sense of self-awareness and stop feeling personally accountable for their actions. Anonymity is always the core ingredient. In Philip Zimbardo's famous 1970 experiment, participants who were hooded and kept completely anonymous were willing to administer twice the level of electric shocks to others compared to participants wearing name tags. When you look at Zimbardo's description of the conditions that fuel de-individuation, it reads like a checklist of everyday driving conditions: anonymity, diffused responsibility, an altered perspective of time, high emotional arousal, and sensory overload. Behind the wheel, you're stripped of your name, your role, your history, and your values. You're simply a vehicle, and the other person who just cut you off isn't an exhausted parent, a nurse running late, or someone experiencing the worst day of their year. They're also just a vehicle, a shape, a moving obstacle, a target. Road rage represents anger, which, as we've established on this channel, is very often a secondary emotion. Aggression in motorists can frequently mask deeper, more vulnerable feelings: overwhelming frustration, anxiety, disgust, or pure fear. Despite its massive safety risks, expressing rage behind the wheel can feel socially safer than exposing vulnerability, a dynamic that particularly affects men due to rigid social norms surrounding masculinity. The road becomes the ultimate release valve, where the unexpressed anger of everywhere else finally finds a target it can actually reach, a target that is distant, anonymous, and highly unlikely to strike back in the ways that actually matter. The stress bucket model, a clinical mental health analogy developed by Alison Brabham and Douglas Turkington in 2002, offers a useful visual here. Everyone carries a metaphorical bucket, and its size varies from person to person, shaped by genetics, biology, and lived experience. Stressors pour in from above: financial strain, relational conflict, workplace pressure, accumulated disappointment. The bigger your bucket, the more you can hold before overflowing. The smaller it is, or the faster the stressors pour in, the sooner the edges are reached. Healthy coping strategies act as release taps, letting the pressure drain safely. Unhealthy ones, including road rage, don't drain the bucket. They're more like the hoses that inadvertently refill it. They discharge pressure in one direction, while adding the weight of regret, shame, and unresolved conflict. To summarize, road rage is displaced anger from elsewhere that has never been acknowledged or processed. The road does not fill your bucket. Life does. It simply masquerades as a release valve while adding to the very overflow it claims to drain. Buddhist teachings offer a strikingly precise lens for road rage. Sister True Vow of Blue Cliff Monastery, which is part of Thich Nhat Plum Village tradition, addressed road rage directly in a Dharma talk, framing it as a threat to the sense of self. How dare you cut in front of me while I'm driving? This lane belongs to me. In Buddhist philosophy, this is called manas, the deep, often unconscious attachment to I, me, and mine. It's a delusion regarding the self that creates the illusion of an isolated I and fiercely guards its territory, control, and pride. When that sense of self feels threatened, when territory, control, or pride feels invaded, even unintentionally by a stranger in a passing car, anger arises as a reflexive protection. Road rage is really not about the lane or the other car. It's about the self that felt diminished in the moment and could not bear it. Tina Han called anger habit energy, karmic in origin, deeply ingrained, and self-perpetuating. Anger is not a rational reaction to a current event. It is a deeply grooved reaction pattern stored in what Buddhism calls the store consciousness, which is the layer of mind that holds all accumulated seeds of experience, including every unprocessed grievance, frustration, and wound. No other person or thing creates one's habit energy. It comes from within. In the context of road rage, other drivers are not the cause. They're simply the trigger, a convenient, anonymous surface onto which a habit that was already there finally finds somewhere to land. If you find this useful, hit like and subscribe. In the coming episodes, I'll share what I discovered about who's most susceptible to road rage, which countries have high rates of road rage, and why, plus tools for both the aggressors and the victims. And thank you. Your curiosity and willingness to translate anger are received and appreciated.